traditions among our people that run deep as stone. Their shields are as versatile as they are strong. Their swords are as lethal, simple, and ancient design. And a leader who does not lead the charge is no leader at all. They are called Warlords, a name that has earned another ancient tradition. To become a warlord means service to all who need it for life. They are the shield of our people. And they will not fall.
If there was any character in For Honor that I thought needed a sincere upgrade or rework, it's probably Warlord. I mean, the dude just feels bland to me. And I'm talking about his moveset, not his look. Because, if I'm being fair, he looks awesome. Of all the Vikings, he's the one who I think looks like he fits the part the best. The beard isn't cringy like the others that I've seen so far, like Berserker and Raider. His shield and sword are historically accurate, and I feel like there's a lot of meat to his moveset, but there's not much variety, and you'll see that in a little bit. He is the definition of what I call a turtle with a fragile shell. But, again, we'll get into that when we talk about playstyle. Okay, so when I think Warlord, I think of a Jarl, I think of a leader, a man who stands in opposition to lawlessness and chaos in his own way. He's the bulwark counter to the chaos of war, and he's a man who fills his people with hope and reverence. When I think of a true Viking ruler, it's not the Raider, it's the Warlord. He's vicious, but he also has a flair of honor within his heart. Like, he's a man who holds his opponent and his people in high esteem. He respects them as he respects himself, and he shows that respect on and off the battlefield. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about his weapons and armor, which there's a lot to say here. Let's take a moment to appreciate this armor design. I mean, my goodness, this is probably the best one we've seen out of the Vikings so far. That's a legit helmet he's wearing. That is a good helmet that would provide very good protection from any up-top attacks. Those are some solid leather shoulder protectors, but we've seen good shoulder protectors so far from the Vikings. But we've also got some arm protectors. Some that looks like chainmail underneath the arm protectors. Very, very good. And finally, some leather chest protector. There's leather armor there under on top of what looks like a cloth tunic of some kind. We've got a belt with it looks like a mead horn on the back. I love that. Got some chainmail thigh protectors. Very, very nice. All that connected to the belt. The trousers are standard, but you know what? The rest of this is just so on point. This all looks excellent. Now let's take a look at his weapons here. We've got ourselves... Okay, I'm going to be honest, this is probably the best set. When I first saw Warlord, I thought, okay, this is going to be awesome. These are excellent. That's a round shield, and it's classic of Norse culture. It provides excellent protection, and not only that, it provides versatility. The shield can be turned or held at an angle so that attacks that are swung at it can be blocked and deflected in directions that the Viking holding it wants them to. So it's very, very good at turning aside attacks. And with this standard shield, you've got a nice... ball in the middle that's good for bludgeoning to hit an opponent. And yes, this shield would be good to backhand an opponent, which you'll see. Now the sword, the For Honor website calls it a gladius. It is not a gladius. That is most definitely not. That would either be an Ultbert or a Carolingian sword, and I'm going to go with a Carolingian. That's what I think this looks like the most. This is an excellent sword. It's not as heavy as a longsword. It can be held one-handed because it's well balanced and light enough to be, but it still has a lot of weight in the blade, and it can be used for stabbing or slashing, which makes it a very versatile weapon. And the typical way you want to play or fight, I should say, with this shield and sword combo is you get behind that shield, and when your opponent comes at you to strike, you take the shield and you angle it to deflect the blow, and then use that opening to slash with your sword. This would be the fundamental way you use a shield and sword like this. That's how it should be used, and with that combo, the Warlord should be the strongest Viking in his faction. So what's wrong with him? We'll get into that. We will get into that. But before we do, let's talk about my Warlord. This is my Warlord. Added a little bit more to the chest protection and the shoulder protection. We've got some spikes there. The shield has a manta ray design, which is really cool. I really like that look. The sword is also a little bit ornamented, which is nice. Not historically accurate, but nice. The skulls hanging from his belt is maybe a little overkill, but hey, I like it, and I guess if you like it, that's what matters. Speaking of which, looking at that helmet, again, this is what I mean by the beard not being too cringy. It just looks natural, and I wouldn't mind it so much being tied like that, especially if it's really long. The bone horns up here are nice ornamentation, not historically accurate, but again, it just looks cool, so I will stick with it. And yeah, just overall, he looks like a total badass. So now that I've praised the Warlord so much for his look, his design, and how he should be able to fight, let's talk about how he actually fights. The Warden has a 2-hit combo moveset: light, light, heavy, light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy. The heavy of any Warden attack is always going to be uninterruptible partway through the attack. Also, his light attacks are what's called a counter-strike move, which means that if my opponent does an attack from the same side at the same time I do my attack, and my shield lights up or highlights, then that means that his attack will be knocked aside and my attack will go through. We'll demonstrate. One more time. There we go. Got it that time. As you can see, it's difficult to do right, and sometimes it takes a lot of practice to make effective, but a lot of the shield heroes actually have this, including Conqueror and Black Prior. I just didn't go over that in my video. But it's important that you do know it, because it's one of the few ways that Warlord can actually be a contender in the field of battle. Warlord, like Black Prior and Conqueror, has an all guard, and this should be where I start singing his praises, right? Wrong! Warlord's all guard is awful for several reasons. Firstly, look at how fast my stamina is draining. That's abysmal. And not only that, look at what happens when I get attacked. Look at how fast it goes down. Like, with each attack, it just drains faster. And then, if I want to attack, my stamina's already gone. I can't take more than maybe 1 or 2 hits with that all guard, which is pitiful. Now, granted, Warlord also has another weakness. He can't move in this stance. Even Conqueror and Black Prior could move around, but Warlord stays perfectly still. So all my brother has to do is stay out of the range of my attacks and wait for my stamina to go down. It's that simple for him. Now, Warlord can perform a basic light attack out of this position, or a basic heavy attack, which is undodgeable, but it's always going to come from the same direction, and my brother can easily block it if he wants to. It's not hard. But Cliff, I hear you say, Black Prior has an unblockable side attack and a riposte, while Conqueror has an unblockable uppercut. Doesn't Warlord have something simpler, a guaranteed hit? Well, yeah, he does. When my brother hits me, I get an unblockable light stab, which he can't avoid, but it did very little damage. Look again. Not even worth mentioning. The only thing that attack can really do is open you up for another combo. I mean, and then that second combo will just be blocked again. It's not difficult to analyze and see coming. It can only be performed after your opponent hits you. If my opponent doesn't hit me, it's just a normal light attack. But if my opponent does hit me, then it's a direct strike. But again, look at how much stamina is gone just from this little combo here. Good, I've gotten some damage in, but my stamina was almost completely drained. That's one of the biggest problems with Warlord. He should be a tank when really he's a tortoise. He sits there and takes abuse, but really can't dish it out without running out of stamina. If I'm up against someone like a Jormungandr or a Centurion and I'm pulling strategies like that, I'm going to lose. That's one of the biggest issues with Warlord. But I know what you're thinking. Is there anything nice I can say about Warlord? I mean, sure, I could say that his guard break is pretty unique. Warlord's guard break allows him to push his opponents around the map any direction you want, which is great for ledging. But you know how when you go to a bowling alley with little kids and the little kids want to put up little balloons and stuff around the gutters so that the ball doesn't go in? For Honor kind of did that with a lot of maps where you could ledge, so that's not as often usable to ledge people anymore, so that's not really all that good. There's the Headbutt, which is one of Warlord's signature abilities. The Headbutt opens up for a free light with some minor stamina drain, but it doesn't open up for a free heavy. My brother could have blocked that. Now, I could also talk about his zone attack, which comes out really fast, but is actually really blockable. It comes out fast, drains almost half your stamina, but hey, if you can catch your opponent off guard, it's something at least. And the other thing I could say good about Warden is that if you parry at the right time and hit the guard break button at the right moment, you can strike them in the face with your shield, which causes a stun and does considerable stamina damage. But honestly, that's about all I can say good about the Warlord. If there's anything I can really say about the Warlord, if I could give any advice about the Warlord, it's this. Don't ever be too aggressive. Never be too aggressive. The dude is a tank without a proper barrel. He can withstand punishment and hold his own in the gank, but without a proper means of attacking, he isn't as useful as the Conqueror Black Prior. He's easily the weakest shield hero in all of For Honor, and that's sad because given the shield he's using and the sword he's using, the combination we've got here, he should be the strongest. He should be one of the toughest contenders out there, and for some he is. I fought some really good warlords who were really able to mix up their attacks and actually play more aggressively, and I don't know if it was because of their feats or what, but whatever the case, they were good. I'm not saying Warlord can't be competitive, but for me, I just don't see any use in him. He's not a good mix-up artist without losing all of his stamina. His defense is limited to how much stamina he has, and he can't be mobile with it. With a shield like that, I expected so much more versatility. But again, back to my advice, play safe and turtle. Block your opponent's attack and allow your revenge to build up so that you can use it to turn a fight around. Watch your stamina and don't be afraid to stay back and evade to give it time to rebuild, because, well, you'll run out of it a lot. And honestly, I hate to say it, that's all I can say about Warlord. There really isn't much left to his moveset. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about his executions. Okay guys, so we've talked about the Warlord's look, which is awesome. His playstyle, which is guys, let me say this right now. A lot of y'all are probably thinking, wow, you're throwing a lot of shade on the Warlord. And you know what? I don't want to. Warlord is awesome, and I think he has great potential to be so much better than he is. I really want the devs to take another look at Warlord and try to change him up. As he is, he's okay. He could be better. I mean, especially after we got reworks for the Conqueror and the Black Prior and all these other great characters, Warlord is in desperate need of a rework, and I would love him so much more if he had it. But let's see if he can redeem himself with some awesome execution. So guys, let's take a look at the executions. Let's do it. Head on a platter. Okay, very nice. Very nice. I love how badass it is. I love how vicious it is. Listen to this. A little hard to hear, but what he's saying in there is you're food for the crows, or you're a feast for the crows, which is really awesome. Now, okay, that's all good, but let's talk about where this fails a little bit. Right here where he throws the shield. That is way too choreographed. No one would just hold the shield like that. It's serving up their own head to be slaughtered. That has to lose a few points, so I'm going to go 8 out of 10, because everything else about this is awesome, but that one part loses points. Everything else is great, though, so 8 out of 10, this is a good one. Norse Guillotine. The werewolf effect that I have on this makes it even better. Y'all have noticed that some of my executions have effects. That's because I wanted to add them, and one of the Viking effects is a werewolf thing going on. And it fits because what he says here means I leave you to the wolves. Okay, so this is a great feat execution. It's fast, it's awesome, and it's totally dominating. I love it so much. It works incredibly well. I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. First 10 out of 10 for the Warlord. It is just beautiful. Smack in the face. Oh, I was actually really good. Okay, so one minor problem here. Notice how when he stabs into the hand, he stabs through the palm of the hand. But then when he spears it back into the knee, which is just awful, let me add. So there, into the palm. But now look at it. The sword hilt is now looking like he stabbed through the back of the hand. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it's a minor nitpick, just a graphical nitpick more than anything. And then holding him in place in the knee. Oh, that's so brutal. My knee kind of hurts looking at that. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 because the nitpick isn't that big of a deal, and the smack here, just great. 9 out of 10. Good one. Can't punch this. Nice. Okay, watch this. This is perfect. Remember me talking about deflecting with the shield, twisting it at an angle? That's exactly what I'm talking about. You allow the shield to angle the person's attack past you so you can get in those slashes. This is how his fighting style should be. Look again. Deflect slash, deflect slash. That is the Warlord's fighting style. I want that. That's how he should be played. That's perfect. 10 out of 10. That's what I want. Slash, perfect. Slash, perfect. Strike to the throat. Perfect. That's what I want. 10 out of 10. This is a great Warlord execution. My only problem is this should be how he fights in-game. The heart attack. Warlord kind of has this thing where he does a lot of pro wrestling moves. And that looks like one of them. How do I call it? It's realistic, and the clothesline there is great. I love how he just... Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. I don't know. It's just not my thing. I'm not a big fan of these pro wrestling moves. When you have a sword and shield in your hand like that, it's best to just use them rather than use your arm. But, you know what? 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. It's not bad. There's nothing really bad with it. It's just not my thing, so I can't give it full points. Final slumber. Okay, that would work so much better if he didn't have a helmet on, but I love this. This is a lot like the Warden's moment of silence execution. Look at this. This is what I was talking about when I picture the Warlord's personality being one of an honorable man, you know, a leader. He shows honor and respect to everyone, himself and his opponent. And here, this guy's suffering, he's dying. I'm going to put you out of your misery, put it right through your heart, you're dead. You fought well, put your hand on the shoulder. That's good. That's excellent. I have no problems with this. It fits his personality. It fits who he is. It's awesome. I love it. 10 out of 10. Totally a 10 out of 10. This is a great, great execution. Stuck like a peg. Actually, this would be a little bit more honest than you'd realize. Sometimes a sword will get stuck in a person, and if they're holding on to the blade, they don't want to die. So I like how he's holding on to it, and then he has to kick him off to finish him. It's funny, it's clever, and I like how what? You're kidding me? It's kind of funny. Oh man, how do I call this? Because it is deadly. It does fit. I'm not feeling it. It's just. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 because it's basic, it's clever, but not my thing. I'm not feeling it. Plus, I don't know. If he's struggling so much here that he can hold that sword in, how does this kill him? Well, maybe I'm being nitpicky, but this is a 5 out of 10 for me. It's nothing bad, really. Targeted strike. One more time. What?
Here, hold this. Thanks.
7 out of 10. That's a 7 out of 10 because, again, catching that. Why would you catch it? And then why wouldn't you use it to block that attack? You just gave him your defensive tool. Here, hold this. Thank you for not blocking my attack with that or using it to attack back. Great placement of the sword, though. 7 out of 10. It's funny. I think this is hilarious. But, again, I've had my problems with giving up your weapon. Well, to be fair, he's not giving up his weapon, just his shield, but still, it's a matter of principle. 7 out of 10. Why haven't I gotten this one yet? Head carrier. Breaking a few laws of physics here. Watch again. If his sword slash cut clean through the neck that first time, the rest of the body would not have flipped with it. He would have just pulled off a head. But what I will give credit for is look at his back foot when he does the flip. Look at this. He used his back foot to add leverage to the body to help with the flip, which is actually exactly what you want to do. This is better than what the Berserker did. So I got to give some credit for this one. I'll give it 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 because, again, this is breaking some physics here. If he really did cut clean through that neck, the body would have fallen without the flip. He would not have been able to flip it. There would have been no momentum because you're just grabbing a severed head at that point. It's kind of the same if you popped the head off of a Barbie doll or a G.I. Joe doll and you tried lifting the head and the body up at the same time. No, just the head's going to come up. So, yep, 8 out of 10. Nailed down.
Face your heresy!
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good. Just hammer that thing in. I love it. And I love that it takes some effort to get it out of the body. That's actually really good. Just beat it into him. I love it. I will say that this execution is a little longer than it needs to be because it's one that a lot of people could run up and stop you on the battlefield. So I'll give it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But yeah, it's funny. It's good. And this last bit is great because he doesn't just yank it out. He has to work to get it out, which is pretty funny. 9 out of 10. The best offense. Okay, see that? Again, this is what I'm talking about. The deflections, the knock-aside. Look at this. No. Catch, stab. That is how you use the sword and shield. This is how that sort of shield should be used. Using that defense, deflect the blow, catch the opponent, and then stab while staying behind the shield. That is how he should be played. It's a 10 out of 10. It is such a good execution because it is done the right way. 10 out of 10. I love it. Make this his fighting style. Attitude adjuster. I like to think of that one as planting a gravestone. It's good, though. Let's look at the flip. The flip is realistic. Good. And then the strike is pretty good. Yeah, right above the chest, right into the throat area. Yeah, it's a good kill. All right, so we'll give that one a 10 out of 10. It's good. The Viking's elbow. Do it again. Again, the pro wrestling move. All right, so I don't know if that would kill necessarily, so it can't get full points. But it's clever. I give some points for how cool that looks. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. That's cool. That's cool. I just don't think it would kill. At least it might, but I have my doubts. Beat down. Actually, that's completely accurate. That's what you would want to do with a shield like that. If you've got them held with the sword and you're holding them in place, beat them senseless with that shield. perfect. That's a 10 out of 10 for me. That's excellent. That would definitely kill. That's definitely how you want to use that shield. It's realistic. Very good. 10 out of 10. Oh, that's an event execution. Head scissor. All right, let me see that again. Unless the shield is sharp along the edges, I don't buy that. I mean, it's clever, but I doubt that a head would be cut off that easily. But then again, this is for honor logic. What do I call it? 8 out of 10 again. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 just because, you know, it's, I have trouble believing it would be that easy. But, hey, it's fast and, you know, the shield looks a little sharp along the edges, I guess. All right. Yep. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 works. Shield bash uppercut. Ooh, very nice. Let me see that again. That could break the neck, which could be fatal. So yeah, I'll give it that. And I like the headbutt at the beginning, bringing them down to their knees. Very cool. So yeah, I'll give it that one. That's a 9 out of 10. That is a very good 9 out of 10 because that could break the neck. I'll give it that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the Warlord's executions. So, finally done with Warlord. What can I say about him? Guys, I said it before we started the executions, and I'll say it again. I don't want to hate Warlord. I want to love him. I think that there's so much potential behind this big guy. I think that he has one of the best weapon combinations in history working for him. I think that shield and sword combo is wonderful. I think he could be one of the toughest, most awesome warriors to fight in For Honor. And some people who know how to use him right now can fight very well with him. But as he stands, I want more with him. I want to see him do better. As a Disney princess would say,
I want more.
And frankly, that's how I see the Warlord. My advice to you who want to try out Warlord, be very careful of your stamina. Watch it very carefully. You cannot afford to be too aggressive with him. You cannot run in swords blazing. You've got to let your opponents waste their attacks on you. Let them run out of stamina. Waste their stamina. Parry all their attacks. Drop into your all guard to take maybe one shot, but then quickly stab them. Wear them out. Agitate them so that they run out of stamina, and then you can take advantage. And you know what? People may get mad at you for ledging with your guard break. Don't worry about it. This may be For Honor, but no one really fights with honor that much anymore in this game. So do what you have to win. But that's about it with the Warlord, guys. We're almost done with the Vikings. We're close to halfway through. Now it's time for us to talk about the hybrid, that lovely little shield maiden that the Vikings got going on, the Valkyrie. We'll see you then, guys.